Google reportedly has over 100 agencies monitoring extremist content. Well, our next guest fell victim to the monitoring by YouTube, which is owned by Google, after blocking his video in over 24 countries with no explanation why they did it. The video in question was how he felt about being called a white supremacist. YouTube has since lifted the ban after pushback on social media. So why the ban at all? Well, here now is psychology professor at the University of Toronto, author of 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos, Dr. Jordan Peterson. Great to see you again, Dr. Peterson.
Very nice to be here.
So tell us what happened with this video on YouTube.
Well, I was speaking with a very well-known YouTube host, H3H3. It's Ethan Klein, and we talked about a lot of different things because YouTube interviews are 3 hours long. And he cut a piece of it where we discussed accusations that had been leveled at me for being alt-right and far-right and white supremacist, these ridiculous allegations, and put that video up, and it was banned in 24 countries. Now, maybe it was banned because it had the words white supremacist in it, but that's actually quite a problem because perhaps you want discussion of that. So that seems to be what happened. He complained, and they backed down. But, you know, he's got clout because he has 4 million YouTube subscribers, something like that. Yeah.
Are you a white supremacist?
No.
Why do they call you that?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, because in the world we live in right now, if you stand in opposition to the radical left, which I certainly do, then the easiest strategic move for the radical left people is to call you some pejorative term so they don't have to deal with you. Yes, well, not just to shut you down, but also to damage your reputation, to cause real harm. It's not merely a matter of shutting you down. There's more malevolence to it than that.
They want to take you out and they want to silence you.
Yeah, and they'd be just as fine, just as good if there was some pain involved during it.
Right. Do you how do you feel about some of the blowback that's leveled at you? How do you handle it?
Well, I've learned over the last year if you're careful what you say to begin with, and I am very careful with what I say, and then if you're attacked, that you don't back down and you don't apologize, things flip around extremely quickly. And now I'm in a position where if I get attacked, it almost inevitably, fingers crossed, turns out to be of benefit to me.
Ultimately, though, the reason we're talking to you about this is apparently that Google has got this secret police of 100 agencies, and we don't know exactly who they are, and they don't identify themselves, and they're trying to filter out content.
Right.
What bothers you most about that?
Well, I understand why they have to do it to some degree, because they don't want ISIS promoting their particular brand of pathology.
And that's a good thing to take down terrorist video.
It's certainly something that has to be contended with. I think that it's necessary for Google and YouTube and these large social media channels to make what they're doing absolutely transparent to the public. And there's two reasons for that. It's not only because of the human decisions that are involved, it's because they're building algorithms to screen things even before they're put up.
Right.
And that's resulted in the...
I would understand if they are, excuse me for cutting you off.
No problem.
I understand if it's the ISIS video or if you're a white supremacist and you're lashing out and saying you're going to have hate crimes and this. That's putting other lives in danger. We need to take down those videos and get involved, I believe, and police needs to get involved. But what you did, it was a speech, and they just took a clip, and you're defending yourself why you're not a white supremacist, correct? And
yes,
they took
that's
that
what
video
happened.
down.
Yeah, well,
What's
it shows you that
it
shows you that the algorithms are faulty. But I know lots of people on YouTube have been demonetized. That just happens all the time. If you're a conservative, center conservative, I would say, then the probability that if you have a discussion that it's going to be demonetized is extremely high. And major league players on YouTube, like Dave Rubin, for example, are demonetized constantly.
What does that mean, demonetized?
It means that Google decides that their content is not fit for advertisers. And they seem to do that, I would say, in a very arbitrary way. Now, the issue is that this needs to be made public. We need to evolve mechanisms to determine how shared social media are going to be screened so the real pathological material remains under control, the stuff that violates law. But we need, it can't be done behind closed doors.
And look out for Facebook, too. They're right behind. They're trying to correct what they say went wrong in 2016, and many people think that's Donald Trump winning.
Right.
I want to talk about your book, new 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos. What do you mean? You're fighting against chaos in our society?
Yeah, well, it's increasingly young people in particular find themselves disoriented in our world. It isn't clear to them how it is that they should grow up and take their place in the world. And I would say that's especially true for young men. And so the book is a a series of rules, some tongue-in-cheek, some dead serious, and a description of why it's a description of why most of the meaning that's found in a genuine life is to be found as a consequence of adopting responsibility, and also it's a discussion of why it's so necessary to be careful and to tell the truth in a deep way, and it's an explanation of that, not just an injunction or a finger wagging.
Can you tell us one rule?
Put your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. So, and that's an antidote, I would say, to some degree, to this idea that's been fed to young people that the best thing they can do in the world is to become a social activist of some sort and complain about what other people are doing to hurt the world instead of growing up and fixing things on their own, which is a much better pathway.
Don't be afraid to listen to people, right? They have counter views. People want to shut you down rather than debate you. You want the debate.
That's rule 9.
They say you're dangerous. Are you dangerous?
Yeah. Yeah, actually.
Yeah. Why? Why are you dangerous? Don't look dangerous.
It depends on when you see me, I think. Why? Because I think that someone who's trying to be good should be dangerous. Like, otherwise there's no force to you. There's nothing to contend with. You know, we have this strange idea that's especially, again, foisted on young men, that the pathway to virtue is through weakness and harmlessness. And that's just simply not true. That's the pathway to uselessness and resentment. You should be able to be a monster and then not be one.
C.S. Lewis said there are different definitions of love. There are clearly different definitions of danger, too.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for the invitation.
Congratulations on the book.
Thank you very much.